Hello everybody, it's Vertical Sandwich. We are on a publicity tour a publicity matchmaking tour in Final Fantasy X-2. You might not want to watch it. So if you don't want to watch me just talking to random NPCs in this game. And, she learned delay attack. And ranting about capitalism and democracy. One of the things about the American system, the system in the States, if you're not here, like with me, is that, you know, the two things are very intertwined, right? The reason I'm talking about this is because we're doing this publicity tour and stuff. And one of the things I always say is that, like, capitalism is essentially democracy with your dollars, right? That you're voting, you vote on the culture all the time. That, like, if you don't like a TV show, like, don't watch it. You know, it's like a down vote on a TV show. Or if you don't, you know, and like, it's weird because it works like that. I mean, the thing. Oh, she learned his man. Finally, we can kill Machina. It's not quite that simple. I mean, clearly there are things that are trying to influence your vote, and things that are trying to do. Oh, I need to check out what Payne's ability is. You know, and you wouldn't normally, like, there are things that you wouldn't normally, like, things that are tied together. Like, a vote for football is not necessarily a vote for Budweiser, even though you're probably going to see a Budweiser commercial during the Super Bowl. This is fine. But, you know, it kind of works that way. And when you think about that way, you think about kind of product democracy in the form of capitalism. Especially when it comes to things like TV shows.
No problem.
And there are things, like, I will actually, like, if I have the TV just on, and I'm doing something else, and something comes on, I will change it. Like, to make sure that, like, I don't know how, like, satellite television data is used and stuff, but I definitely don't want to vote to go to Dr. Phil or Nancy Grace, or Dr. Oz. I think that they're harmful influences in our culture, so I wouldn't vote for them. Like, I would never vote for them with my time or my dollars, right? And it's interesting to think that way, because then it becomes like, then you start thinking about the way that, you know, you're kind of voting with your dollars puts power into the hands of certain people, like the people who do things like run Budweiser, or, you know, things like that. And then in America, in the States, the political process is so tied into that, and especially now. I mean, it's not like it wasn't always, but I mean, when you think about with the Trump presidency, just a second, we have to publicity matchmaking this woman. And this woman. It's like if I wanted to support Donald Trump, I can give him, I could send his campaign $5, right? Or 50, or 100. But, you know, somebody who runs Budweiser can buy, you know, like, yearly membership at Mar-a-Lago as a private resort or whatever, and influence him far more directly. And, like, like, it becomes a weird thing when you start thinking about things kind of that way. Okay. Guy in green. Must be this guy. Guy in yellow, guy in orange, guy in purple. Guy in purple. Old lady in purple. Okay, that's everybody in this area. So now the road towards the moonflow, there's one person. You know, it's interesting to think about where we put kind of once dollars become democracy, right, or power. Then it's interesting to think about the way we put those dollars places and the kind of things that influence our decisions. And then one of the things that I find really interesting is this, there's, wait a minute now. Just outside Jose, there's a road leading to take the path. Once you enter that area, an albed lady can be seen standing on your left. Okay, so it's just this lady. Okay, that's cool. So now we can actually go to the save sphere and go to the moonflow. And one of the things that one of the stories I really like, and this is pertinent right now. So in the 70s there was, and this is just randomness, right? Like, but it's a thing that I never get to talk about that's kind of interesting. So in the 70s there was a diet candy called AIDS. AIDS. That's what it was called. And it was, the 80s murdered it, right? Like, it doesn't exist anymore. And the reason is very obvious. Like, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome was big news in the 80s, and it was a thing. People were, I mean, I remember the early AIDS scare, right? And kind of the public campaigns about whether or not you could touch people and things like that. And my brother was a prison guard at the time, and I remember my mother was very terrified because prisoners would, you know, like, throw bodily fluids at guards, and he was a prison guard. She was worried he would get this, these things would happen. But I wonder about that with, like, a Corona beer, right? Like, because when the coronavirus was announced, that entire company must have just gulped hard. And they're owned by some other, they're a subsidiary of, like, Budweiser or Kraft or something. They're just a brand somebody owns, and it's not quite the same. But yeah, and so, like, I don't know. I'm pretty big on it. I'm pretty big on where I put my money. Because I don't want like I said, I think some things are very, you know, oh, we can take a ride on the shoe puff. Let's do that.
Ride the shoe puff. All aboard!
I'm really huge with the idea that there are some things that I find, you know, despicable in culture. And I don't want to. Things like Dr. Oz. I think Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil are really great, kind of under the pretense of being, you know, professionals in their chosen field, that they are doing things like you know, I mean, Oz just hawking these kind of These things that have no medical veracity whatsoever. Dr. Phil just, like, you know, pretending to solve people's problems in ways where you just go, like, seriously, really? We have to go to Guado Salam. Is there a safe sphere around here? Where are we walking to? There should be an elderly lady walking around the entrance to Guado Salam, and we need to talk to her. Yeah, or like Nancy Grace when she was doing things like absolutely poisoning people against these people who were in ongoing trials and accusing people of doing things that they clearly didn't do. Montel Williams when he was still on with his with that horrible psychic Cynthia Brown. I don't think that those things are good for us, right? Like, I don't think that I don't think that entertainment should pretend to be professionalism. Because people will look to Dr. Oz and hear Doctor, right? Rather than host of TV show. And I mean, you can argue that, like, you know, if you're a responsible viewer of those things, that, like, you don't think about that you're not replacing your doctor with Dr. Oz. And you know, it's fair if that's the way you wanna, but you know, I'm not going to tell them that I think that stuff is acceptable. And I'm really big about that. It's passive advertising democracy, I guess. I don't know. A little girl sitting east of the safe sphere, entrance to the inn. This kid? Apparently. How about matchmaking? Find your better half. Strange, he doesn't see. Oh, it says little girl. So the innkeeper in the inn. Is this the inn? Blue alien guy outside easternmost house. I like that. In the upper level. He's just a shoe puff. He's not an alien. And the shopkeeper here as well. Alright, Macalania. We actually have to go into Macalania? That's a little crazy. But at least we don't have to cross the Thunder Plains again. So, yeah, I just, like, I don't know. It's just a thing that I'm kind of interested in, is what advertising and things like that do to kind of products and people, how they influence the process of our representative democracy. And I'm interested in ways to kind of derail that process as well. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think money being as involved in politics as it is healthy for a representative democracy. But there's a Guado standing directly. It's this guy. It is. Why? Okay. Head east and exit twice until you reach a cross junction. Go north into an area. An elderly Guado will be there. I'm pretty sure we can take this fancy road here. Oh, although there is one thing I wanted to do here. See if we can make this happen. So that's actually it for that's actually it for Macalania, and actually that's it for everybody we can do in here. But what I want to do is I want to go into the actual woods and see if I can get one of those Hazer enemies to cast Big Guard on me. I don't want to go to Bavel. If I can't PR anybody in Bavel, I don't care. So yeah, and like, you know, I don't think Nancy Grace has a show anymore. So I don't, you know. One of the problems, though, with this kind of stuff is that because of money's involvement in politics and vice versa, it's really fueling this hyper-partisan thing going on in the States. That, like, you know, like, television networks are forming just to express a single radical opinion. And so that means people can just black out news sources that, you know, show alternate opinions. And it's not that that hasn't been the case before. Right? It's just so much easier now. Because, I mean, parties 100 years ago would found newspapers to be the official voice of their party. So it's not like, you know, Abraham Lincoln didn't have an official, you know, an official, like, mouthpiece for the Republican Party. He did. And I mean, you know, pretty famously, like, Warren Harding was a newspaper editor. That was how he did, like, everything. Was, I mean, he did news, like, that was all he did before kind of he went into politics.
No problem.
So I need one of these Hazer enemies, and they're on this end of the map, so. I don't need an amorphous gel. I don't want to play with this thing. Well, we're not finding any of these guys. And I think we're getting close to the point in time where we have to turn off the video. But this is it for all the publicity stuff we can do listed for, like, level 1. And we learned Mech Destroyer. So, when we come back, more of this. Bye, everybody.